Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Ryan with Propelio. This morning we have Sandra Nesbitt here. She's going to be talking about smoking deals from Burnouts and wholesaling smoking deals from Burnouts. That's pretty cool to me because personally I've never dealt with Burnouts. I like the idea of Burnouts, but I personally have never dealt with Burnouts. So, Sandra, welcome. Tell us a little about yourself.
Thank you. Well, I am originally from New York City, and I've been investing in the DFW market now since 2007. I was investing in Connecticut 8 years prior, so I've been doing this for a while. Nevertheless, it's been a blessing. I've experienced a lot of things in the last 19 years, and so I kind of fell into wholesaling burnouts by accident before I moved down here to the DFW market.
Mm-hmm. So, explain to everybody, like, obviously everybody knows what a burnout is, but
Right.
like, is any fire damage, or are we talking like total damage? Is it anything on that spectrum, or like a little kitchen fire, is that considered a burnout, or is that just kind of like meh?
Well, let's rewind a little bit. So when you're a wholesaler, you need to be like a marketing maniac.
Right.
And so the point of targeting burnouts is to target people who are highly likely to sell. Mm-hmm. So whether that's pre-foreclosure, bankruptcy, probate, I like burnouts. And we actually target 22 different audiences. And burnouts, we're just known for, wholesaling burnouts. So we have wholesale small burnouts or total crispy gut rehabs.
Mm-hmm. No roof, nothing?
Nothing. And some of them need to be demolished, honestly. Mm-hmm. And so we've wholesaled them all.
So on a total demo like that, mm-hmm. is it you're counting that they're probably getting their insurance check, hopefully.
Yes.
And then is it kind of like this is a rebuild and like, hey, I'll give you X amount of dollars for the land. Your house is not salvageable?
Yes. Normally, if all four walls are still standing, we could save it. We could do something. We can wholesale it. Mm-hmm. Other than that, it's going to need to be demolished if there's a wall missing.
Mm-hmm. And as far as the marketing to that, mm-hmm. like I can't imagine doing a blanket marketing blast of direct mail campaign to 1 million people in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. You're going to find that 1 or 2 people lost their fire damage. How are you finding them?
Open records.
Open records.
Yes.
Okay.
And so currently we target like burnouts in 73 cities mm-hmm. throughout the Metroplex. And so just contact your local city secretary and make an open records request. Mm-hmm. Give them a date range. Let's say December 1st to December 31st, all the burnouts in Mesquite, Plano, etc.
And we actually did a video on doing open records, but that was more for like water. Mm-hmm. So if you're interested in that, we could drop a link to that video here later. But Daniel did a video on how to actually go through that and find the water list.
Same exact process. Absolutely.
Now, when you get this list, are you doing direct mail? Are you doing skip tracing? Are you showing up at their house? Like, how are you reaching out to these people?
There's a combination of things you can do. We like to implement direct mail. Mm-hmm. However, by all means, cold call, door knock the neighbors, of course, because they don't live there anymore. Skip trace, obviously you'll need to do that to find the phone numbers if you're going to cold call. But my personal opinion, direct mail has always worked best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and we knock direct mail here a lot in that on the main, excuse me, and that's mainly because it's so competitive, mm-hmm. but we've never once said it doesn't work. Right. It's just highly competitive. So if you're marketing specifically to the subgroup of fire damaged houses, mm-hmm. I mean, I could see where that would work because if I'm marketing to a giant tax rolls list and I'm seeing a postcard, hey, I buy foreclosures, I buy estates, whatever, I'm most likely not going to write burnout on there because I just have a limited room. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you're sending a letter saying, hey, I know you just had the worst day of your life.
Right.
I can help you. Is that basically the route you go?
Pretty much,
like
because
the help route?
Yes, because I like to add value to the homeowners who experience a tremendous loss. They're going through situational and property distress. Obviously, mm-hmm. they're displaced if it's an owner-occupied property and there's property distress. And so whether they want to keep it or sell, we're there to offer resources either way. I would say most homeowners, it's about 60-40. or maybe 65, 35. 35% will want to rebuild and save keep the house. The other 65%, they're more than likely going to sell.
And I know we're a lot of the times at Propelio, we're always talking about DFW, but a lot of these things can be applied to anywhere in the country, because I'm assuming if the cities in Dallas-Fort Worth open records is open records. I can't imagine a city in Montana saying, no, you can't have that record. I'm not pretending like you're an expert on open records across this country.
You know what? I've tried it in a couple states. I know a friend, a fellow investor in Arizona. I'm telling you, we have it really good here in Texas. They actually charge $45 per address for fire damaged property. So I've been on Detroit.
You better buy that house.
Yeah. I've been on open records requests with Detroit, Connecticut, a lot of other states. So take advantage of it. It's free. More than likely. I would say here in the Metroplex, there's a few cities that you'll have to pay for the list, but it's worth it.
So back to the marketing side of things, how are you? I don't want to pull all your secrets out, because I know some of the stuff is like, hey, I've been doing this for years. I want to hold a little nugget back.
Right.
But I mean, is it mainly addressing the problem? Like, how are you approaching these people? Is it, because I know in probates, there's the one side which is, I'm sorry for your loss, and then there's the other side of not even addressing the loss, because if you're saying I'm sorry for the loss, you're disingenuous versus, hey, I'm just here for business.
Right.
So what approach would you recommend?
Basically, I'm here for you. I'm here to help you. And so the same thing, what I hear often, this never happened before, I don't know what to do. And so we try to guide them on the process, on what they should do or can expect. And so most people, they will contact us 30 to 45 days after the fire. That's about,
So when would you start marketing?
It depends
in that window, or
depends on when we get the list. I have a full-time VA, and she's scraping lists every single week, so we're at it aggressively. And so if we see a major fire on the news, we probably will back off from that for maybe about a month and a half.
Just because everybody's gonna be going after it.
Yeah, and I don't want to seem like an ambulance chaser,
Right. So part of the things was smoke and profits.
Right.
Like, I know. Typically, if I'm just doing a typical wholesale deal, profits could be anywhere from, if you're new at it and you don't really know what you're doing, you're really competitive, you're lucky if you can get 2, or if you can get a smoking deal, you can get to $50,000 to $80,000 on those rare pieces.
Right.
And then average is probably that 10 to 15 zone.
Okay.
On the burnouts, you're smiling. what are you seeing on your burnouts?
Well, the average is definitely 5 figures. However, I've wholesale burnouts making $1,600. It was a co-wholesale arrangement, and we just wanted to, help the buyer close. So but
you're just gonna leave it at 5 figures. Basically, she's making $99,000 on every house.
No, nothing like that. I wish.
Right.
But it's high 5 figures.
Well, that's pretty awesome, though.
Right.
Now, on that, just to get technical, because you're doing well, do you do a double close, or are you doing a true assignment?
It depends. We haven't done a double close in some time, but I had a fellow investor call me the other day, and he's going to make $50,000. I said, don't do an assignment. Don't do it. And so he said, okay, I'll do a double close. But ours are mainly assignments, definitely assignments for the most part. It's been a while. It's been a couple years that I've, had to use a double close. Right.
As I know, with an assignment, especially if it's a new buyer or if you are making a lot of money, you're like, if you haven't worked with that, because if I'm the buyer, I don't care what you're making, because I'm not buying it unless it's a deal for me.
Right, exactly.
And as a true buyer, you should not care that Sandra's making $99,000 on this assignment. You should be making, you should only be concerned with what your potential profit's going to be. But if you're selling a new buyer, you're like, I don't want them to walk away or screw me at the closing table.
And the thing is, buyers don't understand, we spend a lot of money on marketing.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes it's 5 digits every single month. The rate of return for marketing to burnouts is relatively low. It's a great return on my money, but still, I have other target marketing that I implement, and so they don't care about that. They're worried about what you're making, what you're going to make.
Which is the wrong way to
right?
look at it.
But they're going to make the lion's share of the profit once they rehab the property. But
Hopefully.
I don't. Right. Hopefully. Right.
Well, so not to get too numbers on you, but like, what do you think the percentages is when you are like? So there's 10 fires. Well, how many fires a month are there in the DFW market?
I'm not sure about the DFW market, but I would say nationally, there are approximately 450,000 single-family house fires a year in the United States.
Okay.
And so, your profit is really going to depend on the ARV. We wholesale fire damage properties with an ARV between 60 and 600,000. So obviously, you don't want to make $5,000 if you have a house that has a $600,000
Right.
ARV. So depending on what your comfort level with, low end, high end, I would say average you should be making 5 figures regardless.
On each wholesale.
Yeah. And so the cash buyers that buy these rehabs, they're going to retail. So they probably wouldn't be interested in a low end burnout in most instances, unless they're going to rent it out.
Unless it's a transitioning neighborhood, and then you're like, hell yeah.
Right.
So, but as far as the number you're getting a month though, like not actual like profit wise, but like, are you doing 2 to 3? Are you doing 7 to 8? I know it varies.
Talking about under contract or just leads in general?
Both.
Okay.
I'm just curious. I mean.
Well, I would say we get about 1,500 leads a year.
Okay.
Okay. And so sometimes,
which is a ton lower than typical.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But we're very strategic. Certain areas we're not going to target unless, the ARV is like 100 plus because it's a little far. So, but the thing is, you only need to do if you want to make an easy 6-figure wholesale income, do 5, 6 burnouts, and that's it. But obviously, we don't do that. We target other audiences. But it's, in my opinion, an easy 5-digit wholesale check with very little marketing.
Now, as far as the buy side, it seems like I was just telling you earlier, we had a mastermind here last week, and there was a gentleman here. He's like, by the way, I buy burnouts, and that's all he does.
Right.
First time in the several years I've been around this industry and been doing it, that I've ever met somebody that they're only like some people they only buy in the hood. Some people only do $1 million homes. They have their niche and they stick to it, which is something that every investor should do. They should not try to scatter themselves out. But that was the first time I've ever met an end buyer who specialized in burnouts.
Right.
So how many buyers are you actually selling to? Are you doing the typical, you put you on your list and have thousands of people, potential buyers on your list, or do you have your 5
I would
people
say
in your short
for
list too?
burnouts, we have about 5 or 6 pocket investors. We rarely send an email blast out because we just have buyers. We know exactly what they want.
Right.
And they're just ready to go. Sometimes it's sold before I even make the offer.
Right. And that's one thing, not just burnouts, but just to a wholesale wholesalers out there is stop worrying about what you can buy it for. Stop worrying what you buy it for. Worry about what you can sell it for first, and then that'll determine your offer.
Absolutely.
Because if I know Sandra or Ryan will pay X, well, I'm going to try to make Y, so therefore I need to offer X, Y, Z.
Right.
So,
exactly.
Anyway, just random.
Yeah, reverse wholesaling.
Yeah, I mean, because so many times people go to these 3-day weekends to learn how to wholesale, which if it's free, fine, go for it. But don't spend thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on gurus. I mean, just there's plenty of info on the internet.
Right.
That being said, some mentors are good.
Right.
I'm going on that whole anti-guru rabbit hole. I apologize. As far as the burnouts, going back to there, like what got you interested in it, other than apparently not very many people are doing it?
Well, I kind of fell into it by accident when I was up north. Connecticut is a attorney state, and so my closing attorney was settling an estate of a loved one who died in a fire. And so they had this house, so I had no idea what to offer. I just threw out a number and they accepted my offer. And I said, okay, now I had the task of finding an end buyer. And so I called a few experienced cash buyers, and they, gave me what I asked for, and I made $32,000. And so,
On a Connecticut house.
yes, that was Connecticut.
I mean, sounds like you should have made 300,000.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
but you know what, 30 on something, that's good.
But I was lucky. So when I moved down here, I said, okay, I'm gonna target burnouts, just, as a little marketing niche. And so my very first deal was a burnout in Oak Cliff on Marfa. I I got it on the contract for $4,000. Oh, I miss those days. But anyways,
Right.
sold it for a couple bucks, and the rest is history.
Before we go much further, would like to ask everybody, if you're watching this, please like and share. We do this absolutely free to all of our viewers. If you haven't liked Propelio, give us a like. It's free. It's not that hard. Like the video, share the video. If you don't know who Sandra is, say hello to her. Go to her page and give it a like, give it a share. If you have any comments, if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below, and we'll get them asked here shortly. But the biggest thing is just like and share. It's free. It's real estate. Hey, good times. Anyway, that's my mini pitch for the day.
All right.
As far as now that I'm totally out there, I don't know where to go now. What's the competition like for burnouts? Like,
Right.
is it just you, or is there like 3 to
no.
5, or is it 3 to
No.
500?
When I started targeting burnouts, there was very little competition. Now, I would still say it's not as much competition, as far as pre-foreclosures and probate, but there's competition. I would say on average, if the ARV is over 100, between 100 and 150, I would say at least 5 to 7 other investors. Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a lot, though.
To
5
me,
to
it
7?
does.
That's competitive?
To me, like, I still get leads that we're the only ones, which is
Right.
great in this market. I prefer that, we all do. But 5 to 7 is a little stiff to
Well,
me.
that's a excuse me. That's an ongoing debate. Is like, because
Yeah.
people are like, oh, competition's bad. It's like,
Right.
hey, just step your game up. Competition is ultimately better for the seller, but
Right.
in the wholesaling world, there's a ton of competition. So you to only have 5 or 7. Maybe that's a market other people should just look into. So maybe not so much in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Yeah.
Market saturated at 5 to 7. But those other markets, jump on board with the burnouts.
So what is your definition of like high competition? Like 10 sellers?
30.
Really?
Yeah, you go to some of these wholesale deals.
Oh,
You
wow.
I haven't walked into a house like that in a long time. But you hear stories of somebody walking in and having a stack of postcards, like literally a stack.
But it's like far as offers that they've received.
It just depends on that aspect of it. It's just depend on who the seller is.
Okay.
Because sometimes you've got a seller who will be like, I'm having an open house on Saturday morning. Come on by, give me your best
Yeah.
offer. Best offer wins. I don't care about all the other stuff.
Right.
And I don't know why they're in that voice, but just go with it. And some people, they call 3 to 5 and then they're done. And it's just a matter of who looks better in the picture, who has the best letter.
Right.
Because some people, like anything, it's they're turned on or turned off by
Right.
certain marketing pieces. But I would say competition is great. Actually, you know what? If you're watching this, drop a comment about competition in DFW for typical wholesaling deals, so we can let Sandra know what that's about. Because she's not used to it.
Well, you know what's funny? I had a deal in a contract in Mesquite, and the lady was going through a divorce, and she said, I have a ton of letters, but for whatever reason, she picked mine and only called me and wanted an offer on the spot. And she liked my letter because it was professional. She said, I don't like homemade letters. Like, why would somebody send a handwritten letter? Whereas others, they feel more comfortable and, they
one-on-one.
Right, exactly. So for whatever reason, who knows the reasons why sellers will, respond to your marketing efforts.
Right, and on that note, just a mini random Daniel tip, because I'll blatantly steal it from him, which is when you are developing your marketing pieces, split test them. Do several different letters and figure out which one reacts better to your people, and that's
Right.
the one you should use. Because a lot of people, they're just like, hey, I put a postcard, and they throw it out there, and they don't take the time
Right.
to really develop that.
Right.
So as far as other than burnouts, because I think we've kind of gotten into that a lot. What else are you doing? What other kind of tips can we throw out to our audience?
as I mentioned, for those of you who are wholesalers, you got to be consistent, because I see a lot of investors that dabble, they try this, they try that, and they're not consistent. Whatever it is that you do, whether it's signs, mail, cold calling, door knocking, just stay at it every single week, month, whatever your plan is. And so we target distress and non-distress. Okay, with the distress, it's going to be shorter because it's not going to be like 100,000 people in foreclosure necessarily, or with a burnout property. And so if you're going to contact those who are like zip codes, like really break it down. Year built, the age of the homeowner, equity, how long they've owned it. So really tighten your list.
Yeah, I mean, because if you have a list of 1 million people, you're never going to be able to afford to market all those people.
Right.
And real quick, Jason, I see your comment up there about stereotyping rednecks. The fact that you say I resemble those remarks is exactly why I did that voice. Because I think you were probably trying to say resent, but when you say resemble, it proves my point. Yeah, I love you, buddy. Looks like Daniel's got something up there.
Do you have any tips for determining the budget for a burnout, like for remodeling it, building it up, getting it back to where it's supposed to be? I mean, that's not an $8 a square foot kind of remodel.
Right. I would say that's the number one question I get. And so I can give you a range because it does depend on how the severity of the fire. Okay. So it could be anywhere between $15 to $55 a square foot. 15 might be a small little fire in the garage. However, the majority of your burnouts are going to be over $20 a square foot. 55 is a little high. I had one in Tarrant County in Keller last year. It was really on the verge to be demolished, to be honest with you. So it was definitely up there, like it was $52 a square foot. So 15 to 55, but you probably want to go, right in the middle for your average burnout. The light fires are hard to determine because if the house is already outdated, it's going to need everything.
Right.
But if it's a total gut rehab,
So it sounds like if it's a light fire, that's almost an advantage to you as an investor or as a wholesaler, because even though maybe it's not maybe it's a disadvantage because these people they only think this light fire is the problem, and you're going, actually the whole house is a problem. Sorry, homeowner, but your house is old and needs to be completely renovated.
Unfortunately.
And a lot of people take pride in their home and maybe not want to hear that. So do you think that's a pro to have a light fire on a full gut, or is that a con?
I explain to them, this is what we're going to do. And sometimes, like, if the homeowner really doesn't have an idea, I show them pictures, like here are like before and after pictures of maybe like a rehab on the MLS. And so they can see visually, okay, you're going to spend money for this house to look like this. So it's not going to be like $10,000. It's going to be more like 40 or 50,000. And so, then at that point they can, I'm not really insulting them. Like, this is what we're going to do. This is an idea of what's going to happen to this house if you
you're never really addressing the current state. You're just like, this, for me to be able to sell it, I need it to look like this.
Yes, because I'm going to explain to them what we're going to do.
And that's a good tip, regardless of burnouts.
Right,
It's just
absolutely.
Like, look, when you're throwing out, hey, I'm going to give you $1 for your $1 million house,
explain
reason
to
being
them.
is I need it to look like this, and it's going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah, because on the phone, it doesn't need anything. The door needs to be fixed or this and that. Then I go in there, it hasn't been updated since 1987 or something like that.
And there's still the dead cat from 1987 that's no one's ever touched. It's just been molded to the floor. This is kind of going back to the marketing side, but I met a guy years ago, and he was saying that he used to help wholesalers, and his big thing was he was a fire chief, and what he would do was every time he got a fire, he would call, hello, Mr. and Miss Investor. By the way, 123 Main Street is on fire. And then if they bought it, they would give them a kickback or a referral fee. Are you a realtor?
No, I'm not.
Okay, well then, it was a kickback or whatever fee. I'm not a realtor, so it's all good.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I don't know, we're not realtors, so legally it's like us just giving gifts some money
Right,
or
I understand.
whatever.
I call it a marketing fee. I get calls all the time from other wholesalers. They don't want to figure it out. hey, Sandra, I saw this house, or they have a phone number, we'll pay them a very nice referral fee. And so if we end up, buying the house.
Right. But I was just saying specifically have you ever thought about or even tried to reach out to the fire chiefs, or is it that
They don't
kind of
want
ethical?
Yeah, we've tried with code enforcement for like vacant houses. They're like, no, and I'll try to be really nice and friendly. And no.
They're like, they don't like you regardless because
Well,
they associate
they
with all
do.
the bandit signs.
Yeah, right. I don't put out bandit signs, but anyway.
98% of the people watching do.
They do?
Yeah. They
Okay.
love 'em.
But yeah, no matter how friendly you are, they're like, no, I just can't do it,
And then and they're like, look over there, and you put like a tracking device on the car. Ooh, I wonder if you can. Well, that might be. Hypothetically, I am not an attorney and I'm not giving advice. I wonder about low-jacking fire trucks. As they go to a house, and you're like, whoop. Just kidding.
We wouldn't do that, right?
No.
Oh, of course not.
But that would be a cool idea.
I think with the city of Dallas, you can get a list of all the burnouts that happened the previous day. So it's all.
Oh, it's a daily thing?
I believe so.
Well,
or
you were
weekly.
saying you play
Yeah.
your list weekly, so I was just curious.
It depends. Certain cities don't want you to bother them, but once a month, so we do. But certain cities, you can attain it weekly. I think daily too. You just have to inquire on the city you're considering.
Can you imagine though if you did pull it, like if you did have a low jack to a fire truck, and then like the next day their house is still smoldering and they're in their underwear and in their blankets shivering, and you're like, I'll buy your house. That would be so shady.
A lot of investors ask me, like, do you start some of these fires because you like getting all these burnouts? And no, that's not funny, but like, how do you know?
It's kind of funny, but it's like no. The answer is a hard no. It's a funny idea because you go to some parts of Dallas, you're like, somebody needs to light this neighborhood on fire, but at the same time, it's like the consequences of actually doing that versus the reward is like,
Of course.
oh, I can make $20,000 on an assignment fee, or I could go to jail for 20,000
Yeah,
years.
right.
It's like that risk reward, and I think we're going
Yeah.
way off the rails. But whatever.
But you know what though? Let's talk about some of the causes of the fire.
Sure.
And so, the summer months, lightning strikes. Sometimes there's arson involved.
Who is not on payroll?
No, but sometimes within the family, it can be very messy. Seriously, kitchen fires. A lot of fires start in the laundry, not the laundry, but the garage, and there's a laundry area.
And maybe the dryers back
Right.
up.
Yeah. What else?
Now, with the different causes, does that change your approach at all of how you
No,
go to
it's
them?
just good to know. Because when my end buyer will sell the property and they have to fill out the disclosure, this was a fire damaged property and it started blah, blah, blah. They need to disclose as much as they know. So I like to have the information for my buyer.
What about death? Like, I'm sure
yeah.
you come across houses that have, somebody has perished in the
yes.
fire.
Yeah.
Is that a disclosable thing, or is that because it's not a violent? I'm sure it was violent, but you know what I mean.
If
like
it
a
is,
murder or
if that's
whatnot.
involved, they share that with us. I remember one time we were at a house and my acquisition specialist, she asked a question about a particular room and the homeowner said, I'm not going to discuss that. His father and his son had died in that room. And so we just had to change the whole conversation. I had to calm him down because it was obviously very sensitive. But, if you know, disclose.
Mm-hmm. So what about, I'm glad you brought that up because one of the frequent questions we like to ask people is like, what is the worst situation you've ever been in as far as like a horror story? We've had guests on that have literally been in the same room with murderers they found out later, or wholesaled houses that had dead bodies, or come across people that have been doing bad things in bad rooms.
Right.
Those are different episodes. But as for you personally, like what is when you think about makes you cringe in your real estate career? And it doesn't necessarily have to be burnouts. Really.
I would say, being a female, I'm not really heavily into acquisitions. My acquisition specialist is, but sometimes when I am not able to get a gentleman to go with me in a vacant house, sometimes it's not vacant. And so one time I entered a vacant house. I was with someone, and I always bang really, really loud. So if I startle someone, they start rattling, making noise. And so I heard it in the garage, but we went through that house thick and thin. The door was open, and then I left it unlocked, and I wanted to go back and check something real quick, and the door was locked. There was someone in there the whole time we were there.
Like literally within
Yeah,
the 5
yeah.
minutes of going outside and coming back?
The whole time we were there beforehand.
No, but you said you went back.
Yeah.
Literally you left and then you came back.
like
30
2 seconds. Yeah, it was locked. Somebody was in there. They locked the door behind us.
That would freak you out.
Yeah, yeah. And so who knows? They would have been, hiding in the closet, and God knows what could have happened. But luckily, I wasn't alone.
Right.
But there's been a few instances where I've been in vacant houses with someone, and there was someone, upstairs camping out.
And I will say, not even female or male, just being at a vacant house that may have a squatter in it, even solo, that would freak anybody out.
Right.
I could sit here and be like, oh, I'm a tough guy. I'm carrying my piece.
Yeah.
I'll just shoot him. It's like, no, that would freak you out.
Yeah, and sometimes I don't carry anything, but sometimes I might grab something, break a glass beer bottle, and just. I've done that in Fair Park. I've done that.
I could just on one hand I got my picture camera taking pictures of the house, and on the other hand I got a broken bottle. I'll cut a bitch. Come at me. Cut at me.
But I've done that a couple times, Yeah.
Well, I've done the hammer thing. I've had the big old mag light. Sometimes you have your.
I have that too.
Your piece, your CHO, whatever. But I've never thought about grabbing a bottle and.
Yeah, I'll stab.
It's like, I'll stab. It's like, I doubt any squatters are watching this, but if you are, if she's coming, you better run. Is that how you were at the bars too?
No, not really.
Don't mess with Sandra at these real estate events. It's like, is that why there's only 5 to 7 competition? Because you run everybody
you
off?
Never know. You never know.
So, so I can understand that being a scary situation. As far as anything else, other than those type of situations, is there anything that comes to mind that's like, oh crap, I can't believe that happened, or?
No, not offhand. Because for me, safety would be an issue.
Right.
I remember there was a lady I bought her house for $1,000 in Oak Cliff. It was a burnout. It needed everything. And it was an elderly lady, and she needed help settling her insurance claim. It was a reverse mortgage, and she was going to get $15,000, and she promised me $2,500 if I helped her and this and that. And I spent 3 months helping her, and she didn't give me a dime, It is what it is. She had other influences. As soon as she got that check, it was spent. And she had other relatives started to appear at the house all of a sudden, that poor lady. But, I believe in helping and bringing value. And even with the buyers, a lot of times we'll sell our burnouts with an estimate from an experienced contractor, burnout contractor. In fact, I think Austin, I wholesaled a burnout to him early last year, and I gave him a really good price to rehab it.
Shout out to Austin. Come back for that rematch. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm so kidding. He'll be mad at me if he saw that.
That helps us sell a lot of our burnouts as well, and it's at a premium, a very low premium.
What about success? We don't want to always be like, oh, what's the worst side of things, but we also don't want to be the oorah, haha, moto guy. But what's your greatest success? And don't give one of those answers of helping people.
Well, it is, and I'll tell you, but it is rewarding because, there was an instance where the lady son tried to kill her in this house.
That's a success?
Well, listen.
Okay.
And just being at the house, she was just really down and out, like distraught, of course. And so, of course, we bought the house, but we were able to help her way beyond after the closing, because a lot of times you get your money and you move on, but I was deep in the deal after that to help her move big furniture and whatever she needed after that. And she said this was more than what I expected. And I think, I tried to over-deliver because you want to set a good name for yourself and get referrals, hopefully. But in anything, I even tell homeowners, even if you don't accept our offer, I want to, help you with whatever resources I have.
Yeah, and we say that a lot here, as far as just on any aspect, whether it be a probate or a pre-foreclosure, is whether you're flipping or wholesaling, if you're interacting with that seller, your main goal should be to help that person. And Daniel always says it, if you're in a pre-foreclosure situation and you know a strategy to where they can keep them in the house and you don't
Right.
deliver it to them, damn you. You should be helping people. If you can find a way to keep somebody in their house, you should do that.
Absolutely.
But so I do respect that answer of helping people, but for us investors, we like the money signs. We like the zeros.
Oh, of course.
So nothing, huh? You're not gonna tell those zeros the success side, other than the 99,000 per burnout.
I mean, like I said, you can make very high 5 digits wholesaling burnouts. So it's really up to you and how good of a negotiator you are.
And I see a question up there from Renee. Thank you for this. What was the most severe burnout in the turnaround on that? Like how long it take to go through that process?
I think the most severe burnout was $55 a square foot. It needed everything. In fact,
And was that a scrape, or did y'all keep the 4 walls?
we kept the 4 walls. We always wholesale with all 4 walls. And so the homeowner didn't have a mortgage. So we actually, from the time that I met her and closed, it was about 10 days.
Really?
Yes.
What about insurance on that? So like if I'm a homeowner and my house burns down and I sell the house, can I still file a claim after the fact? Because I don't see an insurance company paying in 10 days.
Well, most homeowners will contact us after that process.
Got it.
Yeah. And the insurance process.
So you're not saying 10 days after it burned down?
Oh no!
Okay,
After she contacted us.
Got it.
So a lot of times they don't even want to sign a contract until that's complete.
Yeah, I would be nervous too.
Yeah.
Because insurance companies, they find any reason
Right.
to not pay.
Right. And we also highly suggest that they even consider a public adjuster as well, because insurance companies will only pay you 30 to 50% of what they should. Yeah. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that they're shady, but I didn't know they're
Yeah.
that shady.
Yeah.
Whew.
I hope there's no insurance company
Well,
listening.
we've got a couple of friends of the show that are insurance people,
Yeah.
but they're more real estate related, so it's
Okay.
not.
Yeah.
Feel free to bash whoever you want to bash. It's all good.
I didn't mean-
Who's the worst insurance company to deal with? Put you on the spot.
You know what? It's not even the insurance company. It's the banks. When they have a mortgage, they take all day and they drag their feet with the payoff and the satisfaction of mortgage release letter, because they're losing that interest every month.
Right.
So, of course, we're not going to wait for the release of lien. You can get that letter to close to satisfy the title company, but they'll take 3 weeks, a month. It's unbelievable. And sometimes you have to call a supervisor to get involved because they just refuse to send that letter, because that's the only thing that really holds us up. Not the insurance
I
company.
love that though, because we're talking here, and you're very, I don't want to say stoic, but finally it's like, oh, them banks.
No, because we don't want to
screw
get paid.
them.
Yeah, we want to get paid, and I'm telling you, 6 weeks we've had to wait for that. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's usually just because somebody's sitting at a desk not giving a crap.
Yeah.
They're like, man, I'll get to
Whatever.
that tomorrow.
They want to still collect interest.
It looks like Daniel's got something for us.
What does the process look like between the bank and the insurance company in selling the house? Like when a fire happens, insurance claim, does that process have to occur? Does that money have to go towards the house? What all happens between the insurance claim, the bank, and actually selling the house?
Okay.
Great question.
Okay, so years ago, when we would wholesale burnouts, the insurance claim process would happen between 30 and 45 days. And then when that's completely done, and now it's time to deal with the bank and getting the payoff. And so they used to send the check to the title company, then pay off the mortgage. Now what they're doing, they're giving the check to the homeowner, they'll cash it and then pay off the mortgage. So that takes a little time. But normally the insurance process is not bad. They're in and out within 45 days, sometimes 3 weeks, And so I don't know what they tell them, what they're going to do with the house, but whatever they get with the proceeds, it's gravy,
I wish I, knew more about burnouts. I mean, it seems like it's a pretty straightforward process, and it looks like there's only 5 to 7 people in DFW doing it.
No, there's a lot. A lot of people have jumped on the bandwagon in the last couple of years, but it's all good. We can
Now,
handle
okay,
it.
what about competition? Do you resent competition, or do you
No.
appreciate competition?
I appreciate it because it is what it is. Look at the market that we're in right now, and
Yeah.
it's not just burnouts; it's just with
Everything.
everything. Yeah,
You get a lead and you get a house. I mean, you could, sell it
Right.
and make money.
yeah.
As we're about to wrap up here, so if you have questions, please drop them in. If you have comments, please drop them in. If you're watching and if you appreciate what we've been up to over here, please drop some likes, drop some hearts for Miss Sandra Nesbitt here. As far as anybody wanting to do business with you or everything you're involved in, I know you have a meetup or a
Yes.
club that you have, and Daniel's will be speaking at the 21st, I believe, in February.
Next month.
What is that about? What is that?
I have a mastermind. It's a wholesaling houses mastermind meetup, DFW. And basically it's a forum about wholesaling, but it's for everyone. Buyers, landlords, anyone who wants a deal or wants to learn more about wholesaling or expand their business. Seasoned, intermediate, newbies are welcome. Everyone's welcome. And so
it's not an invite only, it's open to anybody?
it is, absolutely, absolutely. And so I've been fortunate to meet a lot of great people, have done deals, and a lot of people have developed or fostered a lot of great relationships, with the group. And we're at almost 800 members now, and we've only been in existence for a year. And so I also have an ebook that's absolutely free if you want to learn a little bit more about burnouts. I go a little bit more in depth,
And how do I get information about the meetup or the mastermind?
The mastermind, just go on the meetup and type in wholesaling houses mastermind meetup DFW.
What I'll do is I'll get that link and I'll drop it in the
Okay.
description of this video after we get done
Okay.
here. As far as just other business, what are you looking for, or what are you looking to provide with other investors?
Basically, to do deals, I would say we co-wholesale with other investors. That's about 25% of our business. And so anything that you have, let's just see what we can do together, at the end of the day. I also buy. I like houses in the hood. So anything, with an ARV under 100,000, I buy those.
Are you buying for rentals or for flips?
For rentals,
Okay.
for rentals. And so being a wholesaler, you have the luxury of cherry picking your deals, which is great, and when the market like 7 years ago, there was a lot of great deals. I couldn't buy everything, but it's a little bit different now, but you can still come across very good deals.
So how many deals are you picking up a month or a year for yourself, for your portfolio?
Not very many.
Is that because it's the market stuff?
'Cause I'm
or
cheap.
Because
I don't
you're
wanna-
cheap?
yeah.
Yeah, same thing with us. I've said many times before where, hey, put me on your buyers list. What do you buy it at? I buy it at 75% minus repairs. They're like, well, I'm selling the hedge funds at 90%. And I'm like, go for it. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean I'm going to pay 90.
Right.
I'm waiting for the deals.
Right.
And as I try to tell people all the time, just because somebody else is willing to pay 88, 92% doesn't mean you should.
Unless it's going to cash flow
Right.
like astronomically, it's not worth it.
There's times to be cheap. There's times to put a little money out there, and
Right,
most of the time,
right.
as an investor, you need to be cheap.
Yeah.
As far as doing business, and because I know earlier you had alluded to that other wholesalers, or if they come across a burnout, they shoot it over to you. How much are you kicking back to them, or what kind of referral fee do they? You say you pay them handsomely.
Right. The minimum is 2, but we'll pay up to 5,000.
Okay, depending on the deal itself.
Right. And of course, if you have it under contract, we can co-wholesale.
Right.
So that's even better for you because, we can, work something out 50-50.
So basically what
Yeah.
you're saying is if you have a lead on a burnout house in the DFW marketplace, if you have the contract or if you just have a lead, give you a call.
Yeah.
So how do I get a hold of you?
On Facebook, messaging, Sandra Nesbitt.
All right, you heard it there. Shoot her a DM on Facebook. If we have any other questions, now's the time. If not, all good. Give us some likes, give us some shares. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Looks like Daniel's walking up, so before we cut off, we'll go to him.
So looking here, I've got somebody asking, what's the name of the book?
Oh,
We've got
Yeah,
a free book,
yeah.
but what is it?
that's a good question.
Wholesaling fire damage houses.com.
wholesalingfiredamagedhouses.com.
And again, I'll drop the link to that in the
Yeah.
description of the video. But again, give us some likes, give some shares. Thank you so much for coming in.
I appreciate it.
You know, it's always fun to meet new people and to learn about new things
Appreciate
like
the
Burnouts.
invitation.
And we're looking forward to coming out on the 21st, I believe.
Okay.
Cool.
Very good. Thank you.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. If there's any questions, drop them in and we'll get to them later. Take care and we'll see you next time.